Boo! And of course, that was just Ben Shapiro, who gave a very eye-opening speech here at TPUSA that I specifically wanted to talk about for multiple reasons. One, it signals a bigger kind of divide. It signals a lot of anger. But for my opinion, his speech also signals a whole lot of desperation. I mean, this is the first speech of TPUSA. Erica Kirk just came out on stage and said, listen, this is America. We have free speech, and you're going to be hearing from people that you disagree with. And with Ben Shapiro, what he just said now on this stage, absolutely 110% disagree with. As, of course, the Q&A was also interesting. Of course, people brought up the USS Liberty. People brought up division within the movement, and there's a whole ton of it. Hey, guys, how's it going? Good to see you. Sorry, I got to continue doing this video here. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Now, Ben Shapiro called out Alex Jones. He called out Tucker Carlson. He called out Megyn Kelly. And, of course, he spent a lot of his time talking about Candace Owens. Now, whatever you might think about Candace Owens and this larger divide, you would think that, you know, the first TPUSA, the first speaker, would at least have a couple moments of just like, hey guys, we're all in this together, but no. It was, in my opinion, very angry, very desperate, and it really kind of is setting the tone. As some people were cheering, some people were booing. He did get some cheers, right? Let's just be honest. Experiencing these speeches in person is different because you can actually kind of like feel the energy and the juju and the type of atmosphere that's surrounding this. As of course, there was a lot of people that were just kind of quiet. They were very respectful. But Ben Shapiro gave out 5 rules, and then he came on, and his repeated point is the conspiracists. These crazy people always talking about conspiracies. Well, let's not forget, Ben Shapiro is the same guy that literally told you the procedure during the coup years was safe and effective and that you were dope if you weren't taking it. The latest science that's coming out now kind of disproving that. This is the same kind of never-Trumper. This is an individual who I would argue has been more wrong than right. And he kind of came up on stage and he was like, the truth matters. Essentially trying to proclaim himself as some kind of arbitrator of truth. And if you realized one thing throughout the last few years is that the people who claim to have the truth are usually the people with the most amount of bull crap to hide and to take away when it comes to the discourse because they're allegedly standing on the truth. So this type of start, this type of introduction definitely is kind of setting the tone for what a lot of people believe is to be the breakdown of this big kind of umbrella movement that we have seen Charlie Kirk hold on to. Charlie Kirk was doing a lot of incredible things together, but most importantly, he was bringing a lot of people together from a lot of different types of perspectives, ideologies. We found out, earlier today, it was a big part of trying to get rid of the Koof Shop, which, according to Weinstein on the Joe Rogan podcast, he played a major role in and was trying to get it stopped everywhere. Ben Shapiro was the guy telling people to do it. Now, when you look at the kind of statistics and ratings, you do see a kind of shift. Now, this is a big umbrella movement, but this big umbrella movement will only continue to be an umbrella movement as long as we all want to be under the same umbrella. And it's pretty clear after what we just saw from Ben Shapiro, he doesn't want to be under anyone's umbrella. He wants to control the umbrella. He wants to own the umbrella. He wants to charge you interest for using and being underneath the umbrella. I'm kidding, I'm joking. But you know what I'm trying to say here. As of course, we're going to walk and talk here in Phoenix at TPUSA. I really wanted to be here to kind of understand how everything's unfolding, how everything is kind of proceeding in a way, because it is an absolute, utter madhouse. But one thing that's really interesting about these events, you kind of really see the temperament, you see the temperature in the room that's amongst the Republican political party. And the last time I attended one of these events was at the SAS, Student Action Summit meeting, That, of course, was going on when Charlie was still around, and when he was still around, he specifically was out there being a major propeller and a proponent of unity, of working together, of releasing the Epstein list, of not bombing Iran. And if you look at Ben Shapiro's kind of speech there, it's like, I don't know if he's trying to unravel and stop all of the kind of more populist endeavors and things that Charlie was kind of working at, or is this kind of like a strong arming? Because a lot of the things, and again, there were some things that, they agreed with, but a lot of the very big things that they disagreed with were also huge, monumental issues that have been some of the biggest wedges between this kind of big umbrella movement, between this big type of movement. Now, where does this movement go from here? Well, clearly, with Ben Shapiro's first speech, war, hold each other accountable. He specifically was like, I don't care if you are friends with each other, you got to call each other out. You got to call out the people I don't like now. Essentially, that's what I got from it. It's him finger wagging. You better not dabble in conspiracies. I know the truth. I'm the truth. And again, I'm being disingenuous with my type of shortening of the conversation that was had here. Obviously, he was a lot more eloquent. Obviously, the voice was a little bit more squeaky. Obviously, the tone was a little bit different, but the tone did seem very angry, right? It seemed very frustrated, and it seemed like it was just specifically doing its best to say, no, I'm in charge. I'm the boss. I'm the truth. Anyone that's not me isn't for the truth. And therefore, we have to disavow them. Call them out immediately. Call all of them out. And is this what we have to do? We have to police ourselves here? And one of the reasons why a lot of these type of anti-establishment figures, and again, he also went after Nick Fuentes, and he was like, Nick Fuentes said this, and he said this, and he said this. It's like, okay, we get it. And I don't think he realizes, and I think a lot of the kind of other Republicans still don't kind of realize that a lot of the times when it comes to a lot of the kind of shock value, when it comes to a lot of the comments that are kind of more kind of inflammatory, a lot of the younger people kind of just say them just to get a reaction because the older crowd kind of goes crazy. Again, at the end of the day, it's just words, it's arguments, and we should be able to argue. And Ben Shapiro made that claim as well, so did Erica. Hey, debate, argue, good. But I think the conversation's really lacking when you're trying to stand on stage and then lecture people and tell them, no, these ideas are okay. Oh, these conspiracy ideas, bad. You better stop with these conspiracy ideas that have been actually more right than wrong. If you look at a lot of the conspiracy ideas regarding, hey, we have a war-mongering deep state, Ben Shapiro also specifically made a deal to call out how Tucker Carlson at the SAS stage talked about how the Epstein operation was a Mossad operation, which I found very interesting because he's like, oh, Tucker Carlson said this. It's not true. Again, I'm being very disingenuous because I can't recite it word by word. But the conversation I thought was really divisive, really regressive, and I think it's really just highlighting what is clearly a very angry, desperate state of the kind of right-wing establishment thought that, some older people are resonating. You looked around, some older people were like, yeah, woo. But it wasn't a unifying message. It wasn't a message that everyone stood up for, everyone cheered on for. Now, Ben Shapiro is giving the first speech. The person giving the last speech, Tucker Carlson. Now, I did find it interesting that Ben Shapiro's first. Russell Brand is up next, then Michael Knowles. I think the people who speak here matter. J.D. Vance is speaking here Sunday. Of course, I like listening to these speeches because a lot of people view these speeches as their kind of address to the Republicans, to the political party and the future of this political party. And with a fractured, divided movement, there never has been a more important time to kind of set the dialogue, to set the kind of intentions to set the trajectory and the timeline of where you want things to go. Then by declaring it here with a room full, I don't know how many people are here, thousands and thousands and thousands of people are here. Obviously, a lot of those videos are probably going viral already on places like social media and Twitter. And those conversation starters are right now by all the boomer brigades out there lecturing people. Yeah, he called out Megyn Kelly, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens. You called out the most populist and most popular. Called out Nick Fuentes, yeah. You called out some of the biggest figures as your numbers are going down. Why? Well, I think it's pretty clear why. Listen, numbers are down everywhere for us, for everybody else. But it's pretty clear here with the numbers going down like they are, that a lot of people aren't choosing, and most people usually don't do this in life either, they're not choosing to have a moment of self-reflection. They're not having a moment to say, oh, maybe what I'm doing is not the best. Maybe I could be doing something better with my time. Maybe I could do something. And again, Ben talked about you have to be a service. You have to make your life audience. You have to make your audience's life better. I would argue that foreign wars and endeavors and sponsoring foreign countries might not be the best for the American people. It's great for Ben and his people and his supporters. Yeah, 110%. But it's not really a big umbrella then, is it? It really is, I'm taking care of myself, my friends, my family members, my group, my tribe, over anybody else. You stand against us, we all have to unify and call you out because you're a conspiracist. And again, my number one way of debating and debunking that is you argue someone's life, ever since, let's just say, the Iraq War. Has their life been better or worse, depending on their skepticism and ability to believe, question, or push away conspiracies? Whose life is better with the choices, decisions? The people who listened to the mainstream media? The people who obeyed? The people who bowed down? The people who acquiesced to the power structures that took advantage of particular emergencies for their own personal benefit? Whose life is better? Obviously, pretty clearly, the life of the individual who is more critical, more skeptical within the last few years is way better than the life of a lot of these people and these individuals that are just listening and doing what they are told. And a lot of people are just in this kind of compliance zone, and Ben Shapiro is good at what he does. He speaks to a specific audience that believes and thinks the way they do, an older audience that is more rigid, less flexible, and has less of an ability to use and implement new ideas, and therefore he is the kind of safeguard for them, like, hey, don't worry. No, they're all bad. I'm good. We're all good here. No, the establishment is good. And if you look at one of the biggest changes, whether it's a negative or positive change, and I made this argument with the quartering today, because I think it's a fascinating and interesting conversation to have here. If you look at specifically with the temperament, the ideas of the general public, it is becoming more and more untrustworthy of authority, because the authorities and the institutions in our world, they're losing authority because they're lying to us and screwing us over significantly. And if it wasn't for them doing that, we would live in a high-trust society. We don't live in a high-trust society. We can't trust any of these individuals because they have taken seats and positions of power and used it to fill their own coffers, used it to line their own pockets. And that right there is why skepticism is your best friend, and I would argue people are becoming more skeptical. Ben Shapiro still represents that kind of old boomer George W. Bush trust the government. I remember being around back then and being a part of independent media all the way back in the early 2000s, and it was an uphill battle. People, I remember being out there at Ground Zero, people would spit at you, be like, how dare you question the official narrative? How dare you tell people the air was not safe to breathe? The government told us it was safe to breathe. You think the government lied to us? Yeah, they did. They did. And then they denied them benefits that they promised them. So that's the criminal nature of government. And Ben Shapiro, that's why he was a never-Trumper. That's why he said, yeah, guys, take the shot. Ben Shapiro represents those old kind of Republican, neoconservative, George W. Bush, Dick Cheney type of ideas that are done for. And as the older populations sadly pass on, and their rigid old beliefs pass on, this new generation that you could see present here. That wasn't clapping or cheering or standing up for Ben Shapiro. This new young student class, that first thing, USS Liberty, first thing they asked him. Another question that they asked him that I thought Ben did a very poor job answering, because he was doing the exact opposite of, was one young woman was like, how can we keep this movement together? Like, we're so fractured. And I am going to argue he's making it more fractured. More fractured by trying to police people, and then he went off and responded to that by saying, all lying about the truth. And again, there are universal truths in the world. Yes, of course. But a lot of it is also subjective. A lot of it is also arbitrary. And the people claiming to know the truth are usually the ones that are the most fullest of crap. So, very interesting speech. I love being in attendance at these events. I love being able to see what people are saying, listen to the debates, listen to the arguments. Ben Shapiro, wrong tone, wrong arguments. That's just my opinion. If you think I am wrong and have a counter argument, let me know. But I think we're better off being more skeptical, more trustworthy of individuals rather than institutions. And that is something that is terrifying very powerful people that control the institutions, because they're the ones that want to be in charge. How do they not be in charge? When people start on an individual, one-on-one local basis, starting to coalesce, starting to work together, starting to cooperate with each other. And again, sometimes they get it wrong. No one's perfect, but it's pretty clear here. You know, maybe pinpointing 3/4 of your movement that are the most popular and saying, they're all wrong, I'm right. Maybe you're not right. Right? So, what do you think? Whose side are you on? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you want to support me, get the shirt. I'm wearing it. People here really appreciative of this particular shirt here. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for more coverage here at AmFest. I'm going to be doing more on the ground type of reactions. It's not really reporting. I know some people are like, oh, you're... No, I'm just giving you my thoughts. I'm giving you my kind of 2 cents on this particular matter. Of course, this is where the Daily Wire set is, right in front of me doing this entire video. So, really interesting conversations. TPUSA always does a pretty wild job bringing together this kind of loose coalition, as a lot of people are kind of asking themselves, where do they go next? Well, I think it's pretty clear. They're going to do what Charlie has always attempted to do. Will they be as successful? I don't know. But what Charlie did is he brought together a lot of these individuals that are directly opposed to each other, and he made them have a conversation. And if that's what TPUSA facilitates, great, and we need a lot more of that. Anyway, what's your thoughts? You can watch Ben's speech online. Angry little guy. Definitely a lot of passion, but absolutely wrong. What do you think? Start the conversation. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more. All here exclusively on youtube.com/Luke Radowski 76.